Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Rise and Write with Grace and James. I'm Grace.
I'm James.
And this is a place for creators, collaborators, and fun company for the journey. Here to kick off our 2022 first season is Bethany Howard. Bethany is an author, a writer, a poet, a mom, and a self-proclaimed late bloomer. We'll talk about that, out of Connecticut. She has last year, I think, right?
Yeah.
Her book, Permission Granted. It's a combo poetry, journal, devotional. Beautiful, beautiful book. We'll talk about that. And she's here to join us about taking up our space and owning the permission that we've already been given as we begin this new year. Bethany, thank you so much for being here.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
So show us the book first. I want to see.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let's not waste time.
It's a beautiful.
Let's not waste time. So
gorgeous. Show us all the fun nooks and crannies.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's a book. There's over 35 pieces and over 70 journal prompts, and there's graphics throughout to help somebody engage with the book. But there's a pocket in the front and a little bookmark in the back so that you can save your spot where you are. But as I was designing it, I wanted something that when a woman saw it, whether in a store for the first time or online or sitting across the room from her, that she would be inspired, that she would be drawn to it. So I wanted it to be beautiful. The cover is even soft. I was like, oh yes, the soft cover is great. So yeah, I wanted it to be functional, so it lays flat for ease of use. And yeah, it's been a really great journey. This little book and it's just over a year old.
Can you show the cover? I love the feet.
So yes, I love shoes.
That's your thing, right? You post a lot of picture of your feet in places.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. So yeah, I worked with a fantastic designer, and as we were, brainstorming and coming up with ideas, one day she was just like, I think I got it. And then she kind of disappeared and then came back with this. And I was like, oh my goodness, yes, that's it. Because I do talk a lot in the book about taking up your space. And that's, kind of what this person here, me, you, whoever, is doing on the cover. So
I love it.
Great.
I love it. So let's dig into that. I know you're working on some other things. We'll get to that in a minute. When did the idea of the book occur to you, and how long, just beginning to end, how long was it until you were holding it in your hand?
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy story. I was actually part of a mastermind group, and I highly recommend that because when we surround ourselves with people who are doing brave things, we're more apt to do the same. Right. And so I was in this mastermind group, and they were doing, all these different things, big things in my mind, like putting together like a course or a webinar or something like that, a membership site. And I was like, okay, none of that's for me. Like, I know myself, that's not for me. But I wasn't sure what was for me. And I kind of had this idea. I pitched to the group and I was like, hey, what do you think about a book? I don't know, something crazy like a book. And one of my forever mentors, Sherry Gregory, was like, yes, that's what I want. And she said, I want to be able to hold it in my hand. I want to be able to engage with it. And I was like, okay. And everybody was really on board and they really loved this idea. And I thought to myself, this feels good. Like this feels like something I could really get excited about and really enjoy doing. And so I kind of talked it over, a little bit with my husband and just kind of started to see, what was the first step? Like, I didn't even know. So the lady who, the creator, designer who did all of the graphics for the book, including the cover and everything inside of it, the formatting, she did my logo and all of that stuff. So I worked with her for a few years. So I reached out to her right away and I was like, hey, is this something, that you would do? Is this something that you would be interested in working with me on? Do you have the time, the space? And she was really, really excited. And it it was just amazing to have somebody who was just excited about my book as I was. Great. She really believed in the book, and that is priceless. So I think our first meeting was in July or August, and the book was in my hand by the very end of December. So it was
last year? No, the year. Yeah.
Last year. Yeah. So I had,
in my mind, I've been following it. It feels like it's been longer than that. I felt like it came out last year, like earlier in the year.
It was the very end of December, because I think it might have either came like Christmas Eve or a day or two after. It's kind of blurry in my mind. But yeah, it was just about 6 months, because, and the way that was possible was that some of the pieces were already written. So some of the pieces had been published already on my blog, and then some of the pieces were written specifically for the book. So I didn't write it all in that time period, but all of the brainstorming, the formatting, all of the minutia, all of the details about where were we printing this out, how do we choose a printer, all of those things. Yeah, it took 6 months.
6 months. That's amazing. Yeah, Jen Bryant in our 12th episode last year, she talked about, for her Advent devotional, repurposing some of her own work, and it's totally legit. Yeah,
definitely, because there's with these pieces, they live on my blog, not all of them. I need to do some work on the blog, if we're being honest here, but there's no way to engage with the pieces, like to easily go back. Like if you go through the Instagram feed or Facebook feed or go to the blog, it's just not, it's cumbersome, and you can't find maybe what you're looking for. But with the book, you can go back to the piece again and again when you need that specific encouragement. So I think that it worked well to put them all together where they can be happy together.
So 2 things there. First of all, it's important to know that there's always a place, as digital as everything gets, there's still a place for hard copies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And beautiful books. And the pieces you're referring to, I know Jim knows, but tell us a little bit about your poetry, because it's so special.
Yeah.
Do you even refer to it as poetry? How do you refer to it?
I do sometimes. It's, sometimes I struggle. I do claim that I'm a writer, but that was sometimes, not that long ago, it was hard to do. I still sometimes struggle with poet, because I don't know. I just do. I call them pieces most often, because there's not really like a rhyming structure. It's very much a free verse kind of idea. But I tried out this way of writing a few years ago, and a friend of mine just said, Bethany, you just laid it right out. Like, I didn't have to sort through 5 paragraphs to get to the point of what you were saying. And she really appreciated this format. And I got that feedback several times, and it felt good to me too. It was just kind of like this, it just comes out, and I can't, I don't have to think about it. If I have to think about it too much, if I have to edit it a bunch, it's probably not any good.
Interesting.
That's just kind of been my process.
Yeah, it has a very, not to compare you to anyone, but Mary Oliver, it reminds me of her. Yeah, just that.
Well, if you're going to compare me to anybody, I'll take that.
Yeah.
With the pieces, you have a specific time you write every day? Do you have a specific time? Is it you're taking a walk and something hits you? Like, what is your process for creating the pieces?
Or capturing them? Yeah,
it is kind of, I do envision it that way. It's kind of capturing a moment with words. And a lot of times, all of the time rather, I write from inspiration. I struggle to write like with an assignment or with structure. So a lot of my pieces are just based on inspiration. And so I can't really dictate when that's going to happen or how that's going to go. And that I've kind of had to just accept that that's the way that I work. I can't I've determined that I don't need to kind of force myself to sit down and work and write from 10 to 12, because I probably would just sit here and stare at the screen most likely. But I will say, recently, I've read some posts from other people and I've thought to myself, I've had those same thoughts. Why am I not writing that? Why am I not putting that out there? And I think it is because I do need to develop a morning pages routine like Julia Cameron advises. So I've always kind of fought that because I guess it seems structured. I don't know. Like I'm really anti-structure. It's terrible. I'm working on it. See right here, like this is a big step for me. This is like,
I love it.
I'm trying to be intentional back here. Kind of like my plan for the year. But what was I saying?
We were talking about structure. I'm wondering, you're mobile a lot. So you tend to capture your thoughts while you're out walking, right? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
pictures, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm prompted by what I'm seeing.
I promise I'm not a stalker. I'm just a keen observer.
No, I love it. I love it. That means that like it's translating like what I'm doing. So I love that. You notice that. Sometimes today, the post rather that I shared today, I wrote in the parking lot at the vet's office on my phone. That's where I was. That's where I had the time. That's where, the inspiration came as I was like heading out the door, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I need to talk about today. And sometimes that doesn't happen every day. And sometimes I just say, I don't have anything today, friends. Hi, how are you? I just have to go with it. I don't want to be fake. I want to show up real. And so sometimes that means like, it was a rough day, friends. It's important to me to show up real and authentic.
I love it. What do you use to capture your thoughts? Do you use a notes app, or do you just use your basic, you said you use your phone, but do you?
Yeah, I use my notes app. And a lot of times I will write in the notes app and then copy and just paste to Instagram and then paste to Facebook.
Right.
But one way that I have gotten out of my own way, and this was, I remember it was a training I did with Sherry Gregory via Kathy Lipp. Sherry was talking about her process of writing. And she was like, you write, you look at it, you maybe do a few edits, you walk away, you come back, you tweak it, post. And I was like, okay. And I remember asking the question like, okay, is this like over a 2-week period? And she's like, no, like 2 hours. And I was like, what? Like, I don't understand, Sherry, I don't understand. And so to get out of my own way, sometimes I draft and publish straight to Facebook.
That is
like
excellent.
I just get in, open up a post, and I just write. So sometimes I am doing the whole thing like right there on the screen. Like I said, because sometimes for me, if it needs too much editing, it's just no good. So to get out of my own way, I just do it right there in Instagram or in Facebook.
Interesting.
I have a question about this because I know so many writers worry about their work being borrowed, taken, absconded with, whatever, lifted. You publish so much on Facebook, like you just put it right out there.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you're doing it. This is the right way to do it, is just to get it out there. But what do you say to people who are like, oh, I need to, protect my work, or I don't want my work those kind of fear-based thoughts?
My reason for writing is for people to read it, is for people to engage with it. And so if that's my reason, I have to just put it out there for them to be able to engage with it. I don't want there to be a ton of like hoops to jump through to be able to read it. If I put a link in Facebook, nobody's going to look at it. Nobody's going to take the time to click on the link and go to the blog. That's just not what we do these days. It's just too many clicks. It's too many, windows. Never mind, forget it. Because I do that. I don't know about you, but I do that. Like if it's too much too many clicks. I'm like, never mind, forget it. So I just put it out there for people to read and to engage with, because that's my heart, because that's my reason for writing.
And it keeps coming. It doesn't exhaust your resources, right?
No, not, I mean, so far so good.
No, that's my point, is that it doesn't. It's the more it flows, right?
Yeah. And
sorry,
go ahead, James.
What is the how do you deal with do you get feedback a lot, and how do you deal with good feedback, and do you ever get bad feedback? Just in general, like how do you deal with feedback one way or the other? Because I don't always handle bad feedback as well as I should. But anyway, I'm just curious what the feedback.
Yeah. I think I get generally, again, people are stingy with words, and my content is vulnerable content. So if somebody's not necessarily going to get on there and share a bunch, like if they're like, if I'm saying I'm struggling, it's been a terrible day, but I'm here, like not everybody's going to co-sign on that by sharing it or by typing and saying, yeah, me too. So that's one piece of it, that not everybody is going to comment on it. But then there have been times when somebody will say something to me that reveals that they're reading my stuff. So I think sometimes we have to know and understand that we might not hear from everybody that reads our pieces, reads our work, or enjoys our creativity. But it's still happening, and we have to believe that. As far as, I say that comments and when people give me great feedback, it's like gold. It's my payment. It's fills my soul. It's the reason I do it again tomorrow. The negative feedback that I have gotten is basically, oh my gosh, I did it. It's not the first time I've gotten this kind of stuff really, but I tried out a holiday market here in Connecticut, knowing that it probably wasn't my audience. Like I knew that, but I thought it would be good to do. I thought it'd be good to try, and it was good. I probably won't do it again, but it was good. And, there are people, like one lady walked by and was like, oh, good luck.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But I'm not discouraged by that, because the people who the words are for will find the words, and the people who it's not for, I didn't write it for them. They don't need it. They're okay. They're solid on taking up their space. They don't need this kind of encouragement, and I'm okay with that. So as far as the negative comments, I can kind of just let it go. Like if people don't resonate with the book, it wasn't for them, and that's okay.
Yeah. Do you know Seth Godin?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he'll just say like, it's not for them. It's not personal. It's not that they're quote haters. It's just like, he writes books, and some people I love his work. Some people don't. And he doesn't ever read any reviews of his books, he says, but it's like sometimes a TV show, a music, whatever, it just may or may not be for you. And it's not necessarily bad. It just means it may not be a right fit for that person.
Yeah.
We have to let go of that.
Yep. And it's okay. No, go ahead.
I'm curious. I want to dig into the idea of permission granted. Why is the idea so important? And you have kind of three ideas: permission granted, taking up your space, and you have another. I had another thought about a third. You kind of have a third leg of that. But why is the permission granted theme so important for people?
I think it's because we wait for an invitation. We wait for something to arrive in our inbox or our mailbox, and we'll just wait forever if that's not going to happen, because permission was already granted. At birth, we were given gifts and talents, and we're to use them at every stage, at every age, whether you're a single woman, whether you're a young man, whether you're a mom with kids, young kids. I think that even in that stage as a mom with young kids that you still have to take up your space and do what you were created for, because that who we are, that doesn't go away. So I think that when I was working with a friend to develop my tagline, one of the questions she said, gosh, why am I struggling with words? I know it's 5 o'clock already.
And I put you on the spot. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I'm not asking you to defend your thesis. I'm just
no worries.
Engaging in conversation.
She said, like, who are you writing for? And I said, oh, it's to me 10 years ago. That's who I'm writing for. So when I'm thinking of my avatar, when I'm thinking of my audience, it's me 10 to 15 years ago, when I was struggling to find my way, struggling to find my place and to take up my own space. So Permission Granted became this way, like a shorthand way of saying, yeah, take up your space, do what you were created to do, cultivate courage, embrace who you are. And at the same time, we're supposed to grow. We're not supposed to stay right where we are. Like Permission Granted isn't just like this fuzzy thing that makes you feel good and yeah, let's go get ice cream and let's do all the fun things. It's also to do the hard things. It's to do the work that we're supposed to do to be able to be who we are.
Yeah, I love your disclaimer on the permission slip. Oh, that was it. The permission slip was the third thing. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I often talk about permission slips.
It's not permission to behave badly. It's not permission to infringe on others. It's not permission to run other people over to get what you want. Like, yes. So I really like that. And, well, I could go off on the permission slips because we use, you frame them in a different way on Kathy's in Clutter Free Academy when you were a guest there.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember if it was a private group or not, but you framed it in a way of our things, like being a boundary issue. Like, does this item have permission to come into my house? Like, yeah. I really like that. Like people, stuff, even work opportunities that seem like they're good, like they might not get the signature on the permission slip.
Yep.
It's a great test of boundaries. Yeah. I really like it.
I love that.
Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just say real quick, when you were writing the book, I know that you said it sounds like with the pieces of the poetry, it seems like it's when inspiration comes, it may be, I might be wrong, but like 7 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock at night. With the book specifically, did you have like a time you wrote every day? Was it like from, I don't know, when the kids went off to school? Was that your writing time? Was that, I know you're not a fan of structure, neither am I. And I'll tell you, interviewing a lot of people, everyone's different. Some people are not structured people, some people are, but they still get to the same place. Did you have some sort of a structure when you were actually writing the book, knowing that there was a timeline and so forth?
Yeah. I really had to like give myself some deadlines because, all this talk about permission granted, like when the rubber meets the road, it's hard, people. It is hard. So I did have to fight through, a lot of self-doubt. And so I did have to kind of, it helps that I had a graphic designer was like, hey, do you have this ready for me? So I did write and work on the book like while the kids were in school, and keeping in mind that when I was putting this together was during the pandemic. And so it was a very life-giving project for me. And I think I really would have struggled without it. So it provided structure when there wasn't a lot of structure in some ways. It gave me a project. It gave me something to look forward to. So I think working with somebody and the fact that I wasn't just on my own, it definitely helps me like, okay, and there were times that I drug my feet, specifically on the ISBN number. For whatever reason, I had a really big block purchasing the ISBN number because it meant that I was writing a book and that I was actually doing the thing. And my husband a couple times was like, hey, what are you waiting on? Like, this is everything is set to go. Basically, I just had to click like submit. But there was a block there in that, and I had to work through that and be honest with myself. And then one day I was able to just do it. So yeah, it wasn't without obstacles, that whole process. But I had the support, I think, to be able to overcome them. And I believed enough in what I was doing to be able to keep going. Like, there are people who really resonated with the book, and I could never have understood or anticipated the way that people needed it. Like, that has kind of blown my mind, and like just been such a treasure for me. Cause you just don't know if it's going to make sense to people, if people are going to get it. But there have been people who have really, really resonated with the book and have let me know. And that's been such a gift.
Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. I'm sorry to make you cry.
Oh, it happens pretty easily these days.
Yes.
Was the ISBN number the hardest part? I was going to ask you what the hardest part of the process was. Was that the hardest part? I know it's all.
I definitely get bogged down in the decisions and in the minutia of things. Like, I definitely like things to be fun and lighthearted. And the ISBN number was just, I don't know, it was just such an obstacle for me to overcome, because it meant that I was actually doing this. And all of a sudden I was like, am I really doing this? And am I saying that I'm just going to self-publish this book? Like, who do I think I am? Just doing that without, the platform of 10 grand people, without all of the things that they say that you need. But I decided that I didn't have to wait on that I had permission to just go ahead and do the thing that I knew that was within me and figure it out as I went. And doing that, I had this huge realization as someone who, as I've mentioned, struggles with decisions and struggles with new things. And that is that I was in way over my head and having the time of my life at the same time. And I enjoyed it. I loved it. And I hope to do it again.
That's a great nugget there. I like that. Yeah.
That's a great.
Yeah.
Over my head and having time in my life. I like that.
We just experienced a similar kind of ride with the film when we found out that the film was greenlit. Like, it was like, we're like, is this really happening? Like, this is wild. And it was scary and wild at the same time. Yeah, it was. But now you want, like,
when
can I get that
again? Yes. I get it. I totally get it.
So given that, next, unless Jim has another question.
You're probably going to ask the same thing. I mean,
what are you working on? Is the
next another book, or
what's next, Bethany?
It's a good question. As you mentioned, I have a book club that I put together. Curriculum's not the right word, but I put together a whole package so that other leaders of communities could just pick it up and run with it. So I put that together, and so this is the first. I'm running my own group, so this is the first time that I'll be part of the book club. So I'm really excited to run that and get that going. And I'm also going to run one in February that's going to be for teenagers. So I'm also really excited about that. And then I'm working with, I've had a blast meeting new people on Instagram and collaborating with them. And I am going to be collaborating with Beth McMillan of Oh So Cute Designs. And I'm going to put together a little greeting card line.
What a great idea. Beautiful presentation of your work. That's so exciting.
I'm really excited about it. In fact, I owe her an email or two. So I'm really excited about that. And that was just something that just kind of like came up, and she was like, hey, have you thought about this? Like, I would totally do that with you. And I was like, yes, like that's something that makes sense for me, makes sense for my work. It's something that I've always wanted to do.
I want to ask you about that. So she approached you via Instagram.
Yeah, she actually. Right
Oh, I
there.
love your typewriter.
Oh, thank you. She designed, it's probably backwards, isn't it?
No,
Take up the spaces you were made for. So we've kind of enjoyed getting to know each other and have had a couple of conversations in the past, but we were talking, I just purchased some things from her, also some really cute thank you cards that are here somewhere. And so we were just kind of talking back and forth, and she's like, hey, have you ever thought about doing some cards? Like, I would do it and sell them wholesale to you. So it's just because we had, a connection, and we had collaborated in some, like, well, we share each other's work sometimes, and I show up on her stuff and she shows up on my stuff, and, we're states away. But we found a way to connect. And so, yeah, it was just kind of like a really natural thing. And so when something like that happens, like, that's a hell yes. There's hell no's, but that is like something that you don't walk away from. That when somebody says, hey, what do you think about this? And when it resonates in you and it's a hell yes, you do those things. And if it's like, meh, you don't. It has to be like something that you're excited about.
Wow. That's great. I'm going to follow her. I'm eager to see what you guys can.
Yeah.
So the book club's starting this week.
I just say one quick thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I think it's so much work and it's so hard. I was listening to an interview with M. Night Shyamalan, the Sixth Sense director, and he was saying, like, it's so much work. It's so difficult. It just is, that if you don't really want to do it, it's like, why put that much time and this effort into something that you're kind of like, yeah, it could be cute, it could be fun, but you're not really. It's just too much. It's emotionally draining, it's hard, and it's like, if you're not excited about it, really excited about it, it's probably not, maybe it's not worth doing.
Yeah, no, that's really true. And I think it's, as you know, like, the creative work, it requires a lot of you emotionally, as you kind of alluded to. And if you can't, like, show up for it, it's, and if it's not fun and if it's not life-giving to you, then it's going to be really hard to keep going, and you're going to burn out really quickly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's so true. That is so true. I was asking, I'm sorry, the book club starts this week.
Thursday. Yep.
Yeah. Is it still open? I'll probably publish I'm going to try to publish this interview today. Is it,
yeah.
Is it still open?
There's definitely still room. Yep, for sure.
And it's through the Facebook page or through the website?
I've been telling people to DM me their email address, and then I send them the information. I developed a reading guide that helps them kind of like walk through the book. So yeah, that's the way I got that set up right now. The book is available on my website, and it's in 3 stores, like brick and mortars. But other than that, my website is the way to go to get the book.
Excellent. Yeah. And the website is?
BethanyHoward.com.
Okay, great. You said you prefer the website. That's fine. I was going to ask you for handles. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can get, I'm on Instagram a lot, too much. It's Bethany Permission Granted on Instagram, but you can buy, like, I have it set up so you can shop right from Instagram or Facebook. And Facebook is Permission Granted Friend. Yeah. So I have a Bethany Howard Writer handle on Facebook. It's Permission Granted Friend.
Okay, great. Anything else on that list? I know I gave you a list of sample questions. Anything else there that you wanted to answer that I didn't ask? We have so many questions that we never get to because we could talk for days.
No, it's been so good. It's
or anything else you want to throw in?
There's so many things. I think that if I was going to encourage somebody who is a creator, when I niched down and kind of chose my tagline, and as we've discussed, I am don't like structure. And so I was very afraid that was going to change how I wrote. I was afraid it was going to change my process. And the person that helped me come up with the tagline, she said, I asked her before I met with her, I said, can you like take 10 minutes of our time together, like subtract it from our time and look at my website and just kind of see what I'm trying to do, try to see, like, just get a feel for what I'm doing. And so when we had our meeting, she said, like, I don't want you to change what you're doing. And I couldn't put it together. Like, how am I supposed to have a structure, but I'm just writing from inspiration? Like, how does that work? You know? And she said, you don't have to change the way you write or what you're doing. It just has to fit in, like, permission granted is these 3 things. And if it fits within these 3 things, you post it, you put it in the book, you do whatever you want with it. And I was like, my mind was just blown by that. And so what I would say to somebody is that when you niche down and you put together your tagline and you figure out a structure as far as what you're about, there's freedom in that. It is not limiting. There's freedom, because as soon as I niched down, I was like, there's permission granted over there. It's there. It's there. It's everywhere. Like, I just saw it everywhere. And so I think that, like, what I'm trying to do here, be a little bit more intentional. I think that's going to be the same thing, that it's not going to be limiting like I think it's going to be, or how I fight against that feeling as a free spirit. I think it's actually going to be freeing for me. And I'm going to find all kinds of inspiration by kind of focusing myself. So it's not like an overt structure. Like, it's more of, this is the place to be right here, right now. Let's just camp out here and see what we can find, what inspiration is right here. So that's something that I enjoy sharing, because it was such a discovery for me that there was freedom in finding a little bit of structure.
Yeah, I think
that.
so. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. Before we let you go,
Yeah.
would you grace us with a reading of your New Year's Day poem?
Yes, I would love
So
to.
special.
Thank you for asking.
So we're kicking off our year with this one. I love it.
Yes. Okay, so I don't have it like memorized or anything, so forgive me for looking at my phone. New Year's Day is not magic. A path didn't appear for me today for the year ahead. I'm still working through some thoughts, still trying to listen for how I am to show up. There's nothing magical about today, friends. Let go of the pressure you may feel to begin, end, renew, turn, forge, remake. It's one step at a time, just like every other day.
Beautiful.
That's fantastic. I love that.
I love it.
There's so much I feel like
so much
January
pressure.
2nd was shot at, like, year's over. I didn't have it all figured out. I'm not 40 pounds lighter with 6 packs left. Like, you know what? 2023 is right around the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
I have every moment planned out.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank
We really
you.
appreciate it.
I'll keep you posted on how we'll use this, and hopefully one day we'll get a chance to have that Instagram conversation, because I am struggling. But...
Yes. Oh, yes. We got to do that. We got to make that happen. Okay. Definitely. Thank you so much. This has been such a joy.
Thank you, Bethany.
We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. Yeah. What'd you think of that?
It was great. That was really, really great. And I like, sometimes you find the best, the little nugget at the very beginning and the very end, but I like what you said about, like, the new year, that the poem, the piece, that a lot of us feel. I do. Like, if it's the first week and you don't have the entire year perfectly mapped out, every second, every moment, every day, then it's a waste. And it's true. It is just another, it's another day in the sense it's a new year and stuff, but there is a lot of pressure to have, this incredible year that, includes going into space. I don't know about that. I'm talking about Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. We
can get into that another time, but anyway, like, where, you just want to, enjoy the day, and maybe you don't have to have it all figured out.
Yeah. Just so inspiring. I knew as soon as I saw her New Year's Day poem that we needed to start this year with Bethany, because This will be out mid-January. If you haven't feel like you got your year off to the start that you
It's
wanted,
shot.
it
Year's
doesn't
done.
matter. It's
Yeah.
underway right now.
Right.
Today, tomorrow, the next day.
Or in the middle of March, or the middle of April,
Yeah.
the middle of June. You know, it's like we have this obsession with January. It's like, I mean, I do sometimes.
Every day is day one. And I love what Bethany does. You know, she uses her phone, she hits publish, she puts stuff out there. Her poetry or her pieces are really, really beautiful. She's a great add to a Facebook or an Instagram feed. It's just beautiful pictures and beautiful words. So.
And we're not, you know, real quick, you know, with permission granted, like we with technology, and we're so blessed these days that we can have so many avenues to share our work: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and you know, whatever the next technologies are. That we don't have to call an editor, get permission. We're going to put you in, you know, some magazine, you know, which is fine, by the way. That's all great. I'm just saying, like 6 months from now, blah blah blah, you can literally write something and put it out there. And I think that that's a very exciting time to live in.
Yeah, it is super exciting. So whatever you're doing,
yeah,
do it. Yeah. Put it out there. See what people think. Don't worry about someone. It only gets better. Work needs to be aired out in order for it to really thrive. So join us in the group if you want to share quietly. You know, you have some things you're working on. We have a small private group. You could share. There's only about 20 or 25 people in there. Otherwise, find your own channels, writers groups, wherever, and just start sharing. The courage muscles, the courage you gain from sharing with other people, I think really helps build your own courage muscles. So, yeah. So, anything else to add?
That's it.
Okay, we're going to sign off. Until next time, set your alarms for whatever time you feel most creative and productive, and then go rise and write. Have a great day. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.